All right, what's going on, guys? We are back again for another video here. We were supposed to be on the water already, but I literally was unhooking my boat at the boat ramp and realized I forgot this thing. I forgot my phone. So I just had to drive all the way back to the house and grab it. But we're heading back to the ramp. So we've got the rig hooked up. We've got a beautiful late November, early December morning. I'm not even sure what today's date is, but we are heading out on the lake, hopefully to make the first actual fishing video on my channel in quite a while. But I don't know when you're actually going to see it, because this kind of starts my practice for the 2-day Roland Martin Marine Series Championship. The 2-day event, me and Kelly are going to be fishing for like $40,000, I believe. And yeah, it's in 2 weekends. Not this weekend coming up. Today is Tuesday, but the next following weekend. But my practice is going to be starting now. I've got some trips in and out, obviously, between then. But I've only got a couple of days where I'm going to, just me personally, be able to go out by myself and look for what I want to look for. The way the lake's shaping up for us, not for everybody, but this is speaking for us. You guys know I like to find a designated area, like, you know, like a grass, like something like about the size of this grass field here, a little acre plot that's holding fish that is big enough for me to utilize a couple of different types of techniques, like go around and throw a swim jig, go around the outside and pitch the reeds, and then go through the middle and throw a frog or something, you know, where I'm not just beating up the same fish over and over and over all day long, but it's just an area I could stay in and figure eight in for 8 hours and, you know, figure the fish out in that particular area. That's how me and Kelly typically do our best in events, but I don't think it's going to set up for us that way this time. Just with the high water and the pressure on the lake and the way it's fishing, I think it's going to kind of be go here, catch one or two, run here, catch one or two. And those of you that have booked trips with me over the past couple of weeks know that's how our trips have been running. So I filled this thing to the absolute brim with fuel. We are going to drop in. Now we're going to go look at a lot of different water today. That's the plan. All right. Now, obviously, in fishing, there are no guarantees. We might stop at the first spot and they might be loaded in there, and who knows? I don't really know what's going to happen, but we're just going to try and cover a lot of water. And each bite for me today, usually I try to look for getting 2 to 3 good bites in an area before I feel like that's an area I'm confident to settle down in. One good bite is a good bite for me, and we can move on to the next spot. So we'll see what happens, but beautiful sunrise. We're definitely running late. We're going to get in the truck. We're going to head to the water. So I'll see you guys when we get out there. That was so crazy. So, all right, this is legit a perfect example. I was just getting ready to do like a little intro for you guys, but just said I'll do it later. What I was gonna say was, as of yesterday, the boat next to me, my buddy, I asked him what the water temperature was, and he said 78. I don't have a unit on my boat. These fish are wanting to spawn. They're setting up, you know, getting ready to start doing their thing. The water today is probably about 75 because we had a cool front roll through last night. It was misty, rainy, overcast yesterday. So in the back of my mind, I'm keeping that, you know, there's going to be fish spawning. That's a little male, but I get a lot of you guys that ask me all the time, like when I tell you guys this, a lot of people don't believe me. See where this fish came from. Make sure you can see it here. See that? This little cattail. That's it. Everyone gets so focused on fishing these big clumps of pads, and you guys can see there's a big group of pads right there alongside it. I fished that, didn't get bit. These little stalks, for whatever reason, I think I have a pretty good idea as to why they prefer those. I think it's because it's easier to guard. You know, if you make a bed deep inside of a reed bed or something, or cattails or pads, I feel like there's 360 degrees around you where brim or catfish or predators can, you know, hide to come out and feed on your eggs. Whereas if you just spawn on a little stalk like that, It's more open, you can see stuff coming. So that's kind of what, like I said, I was just thinking that. Spawning, there should be one right there, and sure as hell there was. Starting the morning out with a ChatterBait, and like I said in my ChatterBait video, and I still get a lot of questions on this ChatterBait thing. I'm gonna have to do like an in-depth deal with it, and I'm not a ChatterBait guy. I throw one a lot, I catch a lot, but I don't consider myself like ChatterBait expert. I don't consider myself a fishing expert, but I am slowly learning with this. And like I was telling my customers yesterday, the less you fish it, the better. And what I mean by that is, obviously go out and go fishing with it, but I mean, I literally use this like a worm. I mean, I literally threw it just past that stalk, you let it hit the bottom, and just feather it on by. And like I said, I was just about to do an intro like about the spawn thing. I said I'll do it later. I rolled it by there, and I thought, they don't slam it because that fish was probably just defending its bed. It's probably a small male waiting on a female. It didn't even feel like a bite. I started pulling thinking I snagged the reed, and it was a 2-pounder. So there's your ChatterBait tip. Fishing it on an Arc 7.4 heavy. It's their glass rod, it's their ChatterBait rod. It's a great rod. 20-pound fluorocarbon, and it's this color is called Bruised Green Pumpkin. Yes, it is a jackhammer ChatterBait. I am stupid and spent $20 a piece on it, but that's it. Just fishing it slow. So, all right, caught one. So another tip I'll give you guys, and this is something that's going to hold true and something you could keep in the back of your mind when fishing the lake over the next like 3 months, probably, maybe even longer. And it's something that I've had a lot of trouble with, like convincing my customers of. So you got to remember, this lake is the highest it's been in years, right? And everyone wants to throw, especially in an area like this. We're in kind of a spawning flat area right now, and everyone wants to throw at what's visual to them and what they can see, right? So like they want to throw to these pad clumps, they want to throw to these round reeds, they want to throw to these cattails. Keep in mind, the lake's up 3 feet. 3 foot of water is a lot. So you're gonna have a lot of stuff that was exposed, as are these cattails, these pads and things, that are now underwater and may have drowned and died, but the remnants, the stalks, the tussocks, what's left of them is still down there. And these bigger fish, I've learned last year, I had a lot of success fishing what was the remnants of reed heads that had died or whatever. You would almost just get snagged on them, dragging a worm, dragging a ChatterBait around. You had no idea they were there until you snagged them. But then it just started, once that turned into a developed pattern for me, I really started slowing down when I started seeing exposed grass. Not just to go straight to it, fish my way to it, because you might find some stuff on the bottom that not everyone knows is there. And there's a lot of stuff that, because I'm out here every day and I'm not staring at a unit, I'm looking around me, that I know, oh, there used to be 7 clumps of reeds here, now there's only 4. So there's probably 3 dead stalks of reeds underneath the water that may only come up 1.5 feet, but those big fish will spawn on it. So I'll tell my guys, throw a spook over here, or a ChatterBait, or drag a worm. And 9 times out of 10, if they're dragging the worm, they'll say, oh yeah, I feel it, it's down there, and they'll get a fish. So be wary of that. Don't just fish what's visible to you. Try to think back. There used to be more reeds or more pads or more anything around this area you're fishing, and fish it slower. And don't be afraid to throw in open water. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that there's a fish on a bed right here at these clumps in front of me, because I've seen a fish pop here 2 or 3 times, and it's almost like he's trying to scare something away from his bed. I should probably flip to it or throw a worm, but we're gonna see if she can come up here and get a spook. He's there. He just boiled it. We're just gonna flip in there. Just like that. So I threw the spook, and when I worked it away, see how white that fish is? It's a male, but they're doing their thing. They're spawning. I was coming down this reed line, and I saw like it was a bass. I knew it wasn't just a gar slapping or something. And then I came down another 10 feet, and it did it again, and then it just did it again, and this time I could see like a boil. And so it just 3 times in one spot. That seems like a bass trying to guard a nest from something. So I threw that spook, and when I got it away, about a foot away from where I had seen the blow-ups, I just saw a boil, which told me that fish came up to it, and then I worked it a little too quick, and it went back to the bed. So I picked the beaver up, flipped over. I think I landed a little too far to the left. She didn't eat it. Flipped it a little more to the right. And when these fish are spawning, everyone wants to come down here during the spawn, and I think they're under the impression that you're going to be looking at them and sight fishing. And as you saw, that was a perfect example of what I mean when I say blind fish in the bed. When you get out here and you get on a roll, you get dialed into where these fish are spawning, you don't know if there's a bed there, but you have a pretty good idea that there should be one, and you fish different. And as you saw, you guys usually see when I'm flipping, it's like in, hop, and out. But this time of year, when you're pitching isolated reeds or cover, I'll flip it in there and I'll just let it lay for a good 5-6 seconds. Because that fish isn't eating it because it's hungry, it just wants it gone. And I went to move it, and right when I went to move it, I felt it tick and spit out. Like she sucked it in, spit it back out, and then right before I could even think again, I felt her grab it again, and I just swung. A little male. Now, there might be a 9-pounder here, or I might come back in an hour and there might be a big one here. But I'm gonna put another plastic on, we'll flip in there again and see if there is a female there. He hit it like a real big one, but he just got all foul hooked. Keep seeing fish come up and blow shad up. They're white, they're coming in. Well, that's a lake fish right there. You can see how white that belly is. On the spook. Seeing some shad flick around in this trail. So I'm gonna tie a lipless on here and just see if there's anything. I threw a top water, but didn't get any strikes or anything. This water's a little dirtier out here. A little closer to the main lake, so give him a trap a few throws. Look at the belly. Surprised it wasn't an 8-pounder because I got stock hooks on here. I didn't switch it out, so. That is a fat, pretty fish right there. He hit it. I mean, there wasn't no, you knew there was a fish on there. It'll work. Just barely tapped it under a mat. Sorry, you're probably not going to hear the audio from that because I was listening to a podcast and I put it on there with the audio. They'll take my video down. So, not a bad one. Stand up here so I'm not long arming it. Send a picture to Kelly while he's at work so he gets pissed at me. We let her go. Got way here in some backwater. It's unreal how much water is in this lake right now. I mean, like, you guys can see, literally 2 months ago, this was like bone dry. I don't know, it's crazy. They don't get much prettier. I just can't find a real big one. I mean, just crawling that chatterbait, just trying to just run it into the stalks. I'm throwing it on fluorocarbon, which I think is getting me some more bites. Look at that. That fish, I bet you that fish is 8 ounces heavier than he should be. They're just so fat. Look how thick they are across the back. Big old belly. It's been a grind. I mean, I don't know how many fish I've caught today, but it's definitely been a grind out here. And where I'm catching these fish, I know a lot of other people are catching them too. So I don't know. We're probably not going to be out here that much longer. I covered a lot of other water that was just unproductive, but we're just gonna just troll on through here and see if we could just find a big one or two. That's the goal now.
It's got 1 billion views. It's not that big.
All right. Well, they are 100% on beds right now. Pretty fish. Like, you can literally just be like, oh, should be a bed right there, and there's a male on it. But have not had a big bite today. I also don't know how much of the natural sound you're going to hear, because again, I can't get bit unless I'm listening to a podcast. And if I upload it with that playing, like I said, they'll take the video down, because I don't own the rights to it. But I caught one, missed another. I mean, about this time yesterday in here on my guide trip, they started biting, so I came back in here and we're getting bit. So maybe we'll run into a big one. All open water in there now. All them cattails are dead. I just sent Matt a video.
I seen that.
Yeah. I don't know if they sprayed it.
That's why I flipped it. I flipped the penny boards there, and I could, while slipping,
Yeah.
I could see all that, and I go, man, it's got to be pushing a fish out here.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing back there. But if you go down the middle trail, there's 3 stacks right here. They're all just cookie cutters, though.
Catch another one?
Yep. Just pitching a beaver. Yesterday I couldn't get bit with braid, but that's why I waited and came back later when the sun got down a little bit. They're just not big. And they're hitting it and they just don't move. They just sit there. So strong. Not as big as I thought, but I'll take them. I don't think she could be any better. That is a lake fish. The fish just moved in. It's been a grind, but look how pretty. That is a female. See that white belly? Full of eggs. God, she just stopped it in its tracks. That was cool.